Yay! Welcome to my Atari ST Shameless Trash Museum. And don't be fooled by my enthusiasm, because I am just trying to keep myself in a happy mood for as long as possible, because I know what's coming. And oh boy, do we have a stinker today. We have a 16-bit conversion of an 8-bit game where the original was already mediocre at best and probably worse than that. And Soft Design pulled off the unique achievement of making the 16-bit version even worse with the January 1987 release of the Atari ST port of Anco's Thai Boxing. And before we start our attempt at playing this game, this horrible piece of crap, with everything you are about to witness, please keep in mind that the Atari ST version of this game cost a staggering £20, which is 60 euros in today's money. And that is just a hideous thought. Now remember, this game is from 1987, and in 1986 the ST already saw the 16-bit port of another 8-bit fighting game, meaning the classic International Karate or Karate, I suppose. And that port actually looked fantastic compared to the 8-bit version. It had great graphics, a very well done and polished intro, it had good gameplay, even if a bit simple, it had simple but very nice music and even digital, even if low quality sound effects, so there was nothing in that game that even remotely hinted that it was just a lazy port from an 8-bit. So, knowing the competition, let's see how well this game introduces itself and how well it plays, shall we? And the happy mood is gone. This is it. This is the intro and title screen of this game. There is no animation apart from a simple color cycle. There's no music or whatever sound effect or anything. And it sure heck doesn't even remotely look 16-bit. I mean, why did Mo Warden choose these colors? It's really, if you would show this screen, if you would show a screenshot and told them this was a C64 title screen, a lot of people would probably believe you. And the saddest of all this is this screen is probably the graphical highlight of the entire game. It doesn't get any better than this. It only gets worse, and that's just a depressing thought. I don't even want to continue the video, but again, I started this museum, so I will just have to endure. And of course, you want to continue from here just to get off the screen, and hopefully for some gameplay, which by the way won't be there, but okay. And of course, then you start pressing your fire button and nothing happens, and then you start pressing keys on the keyboard, just about every key, and nothing happens. And why does nothing happen? Because Soft Design, in their infinite wisdom, decided that the Player 1 joystick should be in port 0, which is the mouse port. And of course, really early games did this too, from 1986. And the Atari STF, with the horrible port placement underneath the keyboard, actually wasn't around in the very, very early days. But still, this is 1987, even if early 1987, and even if the ports would be at a convenient place, why do you make the player reconnect ports when it should not be necessary? And if this was the only bad thing about the game by design, then I would let them get away with it. But I'm getting ahead of things. Let's just change ports and continue, because the sooner we continue, the sooner we will be ready with all this crap. It's absolutely horrific. But I've changed my joystick ports, and now when I press a button, it does allow me to load the rest of the game. Oh man, these colors, it's yeah, and actually the sound of your disk drive is the nicest sound effect in this game. That's also quite bad. But after some loading time we arrive at this. This is the options menu, where the only option I can choose is if I want to play with one player or two players. And I'm just thinking, what was it loading all the time? Why does it look like this? Why these horrific colors? And why is there still no music or any other sound? This screen is the perfect visualization of the expression, "we just didn't care." It's like somebody just said, yeah, we need an option screen, let's just use these graphics from some of the sprites, change the colors around a bit, and boom, here you go, options menu. Let's have an early lunch. Yeah, does it get better when you start playing? Well, to be fair, not really. The graphics still look horrible. In the top of the screen you can see the two men cleaning their faces, and what is that sound effect? Why does it sound like this? just a simple standard noise, and then a default ST beep to announce that the game has started. And as you can see, yeah, it was advertised as a 3D game, which means I can sort of have the players walk around each other to change the perspective, which I guess was sort of an original idea back in the day, but it really doesn't work. And just the animation of the players, it looks so horrible, and it's just, and the faces and the bar in the top of the screen, they are supposed to signify the amount of energy I have. And you see my bar going back, and also my face is bleeding. And can anyone explain to me, I mean seriously, can anyone explain to me, why does my face bleed from walking around? Seriously, why does just walking around make my face bleed? It makes no sense whatsoever. And it's just, and even if you try to pick a fight with this computer opponent, which doesn't really do anything, he's just standing there, and I'm thinking, okay, let's just try to kick him. And I have no idea or proper indication when I kick, because they just keep kicking, nobody falls down, nothing happens. I have no idea what to do. Am I hitting him? Am I not hitting him? Apparently, when looking at the top of the screen, I'm not. And it's how can I make any moves? And boom! At some point he just falls down, that's it, game over. And I'm back into this option screen. This is the entire game. Apart from if you win, you go to different levels with different backgrounds. This is the game. This is the laziest port at this time I've ever seen of an 8-bit game to a 16-bit platform. It is... Why? It is horrible animation, and it has like total of 3 sound effects, one of which is the default Atari ST beep. Why? And again, and also what's going on in the top of the screen? There's something going wrong with the colors, which makes their faces look like Hannibal Lecter. They're wearing some dark mask or something. And and the moves all look alike. They are all this, I mean, and he's just making the moves one after the other. Am I hitting him or not? I have no idea. I mean, there's 2 different sound effects, 2 different sort of standard noises, but in both cases my energy bar is just going down. So am I hitting my opponent? There's nothing to indicate, even if you have a good kick. Like in international karate, for instance, at least if you really hit your opponent, he sort of falls down, or he grabs his knee in pain. There's some indication that you actually hit him. There's no indication here whatsoever. And it just, the same move just repeats over and over again. And it's, how do I fight? And I'm already so bored that the only thing that makes you game over faster than the actual game over is just you being bored to death playing this game. Why is the game like this? Why was this released in the first place? And why did they... What the hell were they thinking? Releasing this at full price? Who did the evaluation of this game and say, yeah, this is perfect value for money if you charge £60 or 60 euros in today's money? And again, boom, I'm dead. I mean, my opponent is basically doing nothing, or almost nothing. Maybe he's some covering up. I try to kick him. I have no idea if I'm hitting him, but my energy bar goes down. Boom, game over. And this is the entire game for one player game. I've never gotten past the first screen. I have no idea how to do it, and I don't care, to be honest. And we haven't gotten to the worst parts of the game yet, which will be in the 2-player game, which is also something... Yeah, because in the 2-player game, we get another nice design flaw in the game, let's say, because yeah, apart from the default Atari fonts that are used in this game, we have this carousel where we can move the cursor around. We have to use the joystick to enter our name, because why would we use a keyboard if we have a keyboard available? And of course many games did this, but in this case, this game, even for this, they chose the worst implementation of this concept. I mean, I can move my cursor around with the joystick by going left and right. I can't go up and down, by the way, so I have to go all the way around. But look what happens. I go from L to M, and then boom, to the left to R. It doesn't even go around properly. Why? I mean, I go from M, then I suddenly go to the left to the R, then I go back to the right to the N again, and then I go around and to the E, which means enter. And it is... If they couldn't even get this thing right, you know that they just couldn't be bothered to deliver any sort of quality in the game. They really didn't bother. The only thing they bothered about is asking 60 euros in today's money for the game. But anyway, the two-player game is also the only way to look, the way to see actually some other levels. So I am just going to name my player, and I'm going to name him after the sound effect in the game, which is which also gives us another beep. So we have 4 sound effects instead of 3, 2 beeps and 2 standard noises. But yeah, by this time there's nothing to get too excited about. I'm going to enter the name. And then of course I have to enter the name of player 2, which I can't do because I don't have another joystick attached. But I can press the right mouse button to continue, which is the same as the fire button on in joystick port 1 for an Atari ST. Yeah, and again, these two guys are cleaning the face that are already clean, and we're here, and yeah, now we can I can sort of try to fight him, and even here, well, I seem to be hitting him in the face. I mean, I'm hitting him right on the gloves. The other player's just standing there, and now his energy is going down, so I can finally beat someone and get to level 2. And he falls down just like I did. And then we come into the animated river that we know from the title screen. So the title screen and this one is just, even the title screen is just reused from part of the game. That's how much they bothered. But then we come to the biggest design flaw in the game, which is actually the controls and gameplay. And that design flaw was already there in the 8-bit version. And interestingly enough, the Amiga version of this game, while I'm trying to kick my opponent, the Amiga version of this game actually didn't have this isometric view. But the ST version has, and I really wish it hadn't, to be honest, because yeah, the gameplay, the isometric view combined with the controls is actually the final nail in the coffin of the game, because going around each other means my orientation, the orientation of my player is constantly changing in at least 4 directions, and maybe even more, but at least 4. And that means they cannot follow the way that other fighting games did, like in International Karate. If your orientation of the game player changes, like you're not facing left but you're facing right again, then also the controls orientation changes with the orientation of the player. But here, because the orientation changes so much, having the controls change with the orientation of the player will just be confusing. So they didn't do that. They actually chose the other option, which is have the controls orientation always the same. But now I have to translate this orientation in my head and remember that the controls are always the same. So I can't really think about the orientation of my player. I'm just somewhere and I'm having to say, I hope I'm making myself clear here, but I mean, it basically means whichever option they chose, it would just never work. It's a gameplay choice that would never work. It didn't work on the 8-bits. It could never be worked on the 16-bits. And the people who made the Amiga version actually realized this, so they chose to make a different game, which was probably the right choice. And in the ST version, it doesn't work. And here again, my opponent is doing nothing back. I still can't figure out which one of the 2 noisy sound effects actually means I'm hitting him. Is it just totally random? I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible to determine. And I have no idea how this energy... I'm kicking him. So now it seems I'm kicking him in the gloves, just like I did last time. But now my energy bar... Yeah, now it's going up again. It's just randomly going up and down. I have no idea how the hit detection works. Anyway, I was talking about the gameplay orientation and yeah, how it just doesn't work in the concept. And maybe people will probably disagree with me, but I think it's a horrible choice to make, and they should never have ported it one-on-one from the 8-bit, because it really is the final nail in the coffin for this game. The gameplay concept was just never going to work to begin with. And then they combined it with awful graphics, almost no sound, an awful options design, and you can really see literally no one cared about quality whatsoever in this game, and I have no idea why. Even in a 2-player game, my opponent is not doing anything, and still it's difficult to beat him. How can that be? I mean, how bad can you make the gameplay? It really baffles me. And okay, now he finally falls down, because I want to look at one more level screen where we are in this very, very nice garden with this very stationary fish. And that's the last thing. I don't want to play this game anymore. I don't want to do any fights. So I'm just going to I'm just going to summarize, which I was basically doing anyway. Because, yeah, as said, the gameplay is the final nail in the coffin, and we already have the summary of the game done anyways. This game, to begin with, was nothing but a box with a manual and a disc inside that had absolutely nothing to offer. The 8-bit original of this game was already super bland and boring, and the gameplay concept just didn't work. And with this port, it really seemed they just stopped bothering halfway. They completely didn't care and stopped bothering halfway. But they still found it perfectly reasonable to charge this game at full price. And that to me is just beyond shameless. It's criminal. And at this point I'm no longer angry. I'm just very, very disappointed. Thank you for watching.